Hello and welcome back. We are here continuing our fascist mummy run, where we are sticking our finger in everyone's pie, not declaring any wars ourselves except against our subjects, and things are going pretty well. And by pretty well, I mean last episode went well, because last episode we deviated from the just rushing fascism tech, and not caring about anything else. We just rushed political agitation, and we did not get water to boiler until 1860. Now we're going to be in a bit of the same boat, because we do want an unholy alliance between Karl Marx, the loud cars outside, and Sigmund Freud. Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud. This one's Marx, obviously. In order to get Freud, we need to rush ahead of time for another tech. So we're going to finish shift work. We're going to give ourselves that. But after that, we are not going to research any useful tech, and instead we are going to rush analytical philosophy, which is what we need in order to get Sigmund Freud. I think this is one of the worst techs in the game, but mainly because it's baity. It's a tier 5 tech that helps you research faster. By the time you get to this point in the game, usually the research speed will be inconsequential, and it'll be better to just research what you want instead of analytical philosophy, but I guess we'll get faster researching for the rest of the game. So, you know, we managed to research like 3 things we liked, like steel frame, water tube boiler, or maybe just 2 things we liked. Oh no, we got Steam Donkey too, and then we're also getting shift work here, and so that'll be kind of nice. Also did learn a little bit, in the interim about the fascist event chain, which is kind of actually hard to trigger, and in order to trigger a fascist, or to raise our chances of getting one, we actually have to figure out a way to get rid of dedicated police force, and that's going to be a bit difficult with the only group actively supporting it being the rural folks, so we're going to need to try and figure something out along those lines. We're going to look through, agitators we can invite, but I'm pretty sure none of them will be supporting no police right off the bat, because this is not the most common thing. I can't even think of an interest group off the top of my head that will support this, but we could find a slavery one if we wanted. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. We are, before this rev pops off, we are going to, put in a journal entry, or we are going to do the journal for Confederate Canada. Notably, we're not going to federate Australia, because they're in the middle of a rev. If we federate them now, it'll just annex the non-rev portion and not the rev portion, and so we would have to wait another 5 years, and then we see all of Canada's united. And so, we do have one little, okay. We demanded Orania reduce their autonomy. We were just going to annex Canada. I thought they just would accept Orania because they would know what's good for them, but it appears that they have not, so we will actually have to do something about them. But this is kind of like the state of affairs. Also, regarding our tech spread, we are spreading fast enough that we are not actively, we are getting every single tech that everyone else researches. So I don't think we actually need more unis. So we're going to cancel these in coming down in Hebei. We're going to leave Hebei with some of the unis that it has. The 47 that actually, we're going to downgrade some of these. We're just going to come down to 41. We're going to leave it with some unis because we're actually building here. And it's actually a pretty good place to build. And, it is helping immensely with the qualifications. We have 0 qualifications problems. It's quite rare, but like our capitalists are all discriminated against, but it doesn't matter because we have so many universities, and so we might want to build in Beijing as well. Also, I think this is one of the reasons why we were able to actually seed this with Protestantism. So if we eventually go state religion, we will be able to convert people to Protestantism, but we're not going to go state religion, at least not off the bat, because Sigmund Freud is a Jew, and we won't be able to get him because he will hate us if we discriminate against him as a result of his religion. Also, he's a nihilist, so yeah. I think we're also going to come in and set all the rice farms on auto expansion, just because rice is super OP and it constructs in half the time it should. And we are also researching homesteading as an attempt or means to maybe be able to demarginalize the rural folks so that we can get rid of this other stuff. Man, it takes forever for guys to get to France, but we are trying here to annex Canada as well. That way fronts will get bricked. Yay, our favorite. This way, I mean, they have a lot of resources, very resource dense in Canada. It shouldn't be too hard for us to take, and you know, it shouldn't add a whole bunch of pops that maybe make it hard to make the petite bourgeoisie strong. Although I think we're going to end up going ethno-state, and so this won't be much of a concern anyways, as we look to incorporate Canada and Australia into our beautiful empire, and you know, eventually the EIC, but that'll be quite a ways down the road, because we do want to get them turning from Dominion to Puppet for free through the journal entry, which requires us to have a level 5 colonial affairs and be at peace. Unbelievable that Prussia would even dream of doing something in Germany. Terrible. So we're gonna sway to the side of Bavaria for them becoming our subject, and what we are also going to do, because we don't have any market access to Bavaria, of course, is we're gonna try and get Hesse-Kassel in our customs union, which perhaps we should have done from the start, because this is also an annoying thing the AI can do to you, which cuts off Prussia's access, you know, to their market. You see, if we look at the Prussian market, if we took Hesse-Kassel, this entire western portion of the market would be annihilated, basically. Wow, look at this. Prussia actually has access over here in Tyrol, North and South Tyrol, which seems to be their go-to in 1.5 in order to take. I didn't realize that they were actually getting access to it, but that makes it all the better. So we're going to try and, you know, cut through that access and get access to Bavaria proper down here. We'll see how this goes. I'm not entirely sure how good this war can go for us, and I think that they're going to have some return state CBs in mind, but they're also way weaker than us, so we'll see how it shakes out. After being stalled out for so long, we finally breached 1,000 construction, and it feels good. You know, we are also getting bonuses, or at least one bonus off the trade unionists. We had both bonuses off of them because they were really a fan of us trying to pass homesteading. We would like to get the bonuses back on the fascists soon. This will give us a lot of authority to work with, and if we got the second one, the minus loan interest rate would be fantastic. They are powerful, so their bonuses are doubled, so we would be paying 0 interest, and so that 40k, that would be 0 if we had these guys happy, because they're already powerful. It would completely eliminate all of our interest. So far, this war looks pretty good. We'll see how it shakes out. You know, we're trying to push in various spots. 1.5 is really, really buggy, though, so it does require, you know, kind of watching everything really closely in case stuff goes horribly, horrifically wrong. Alright, so we pip homesteading. Now, we don't have a lot of grain farms anyways, but all these grain farms that we do have are now going to be owned, you know, by farmers. And so I think that we will let them start growing potatoes again in Ireland, because we wouldn't really mind if the potato farmers specifically get rich, because we love potatoes. Mashed potatoes are delicious, but mainly because, well, we could actually just straight up grow potatoes. I mean, it's better than the apple orchards, so let's grow the potatoes. We'll let them eat potatoes now. And the reason being is, okay, we do want the clout to go to the petite bourgeoisie, generally speaking, but we really want clout to move to the rural folk now, who, you know, immediately, we see an immediate jump up, you know, in kind of their position here, following the pass of the law. You can see that huge uptick, and the whole idea is we are bolstering them, and we are trying to demarginalize these guys. Also, they're ethno-nationalists, so they're our favorite, but until they get demarginalized, it's going to be a little bit difficult, you know, to do anything, and so now we might actually want to build some grain. So let's take a look at what grain we have available. We see we have rice farms in a few spots. These are by far the most efficient, so we're going to put a rice, any place we can put a rice farm, we're going to put it, and then we're going to put it on auto expand, because these buildings, they have double the output, double the employment, double the inputs of the old buildings, but they have the same construction costs. So it's effectively 2 buildings for the price of 1, so we'll go rice first. And we will also look here in Gambia. So let's take a look closer in Gambia. What we got going. So we're already somewhat specialized in millet, so we'll put these on auto expand here in Gambia. The problem is the price is pretty depressed here. We can maybe put rail transport on, but the price is pretty depressed. That's a little unfortunate. I mean, I guess we could export grain in order to Yep, okay, we could export grain. Or we could stop importing it at least. But let's export it. I think we're importing it from some places. We can also export it. A little bit of arbitrage action, and this will, you know, let us get money for our trade routes, but also let us get money, a little bit more money to our farmers, because we do want them to, you know, we want them to demarginalize here, so that they can actually help us pass a law. Because the kind of law that we want to pass is we want to get no police, and we don't have a really good way to go no police, unless maybe if we went like militarized police, someone would be preferable, no police preferred to militarized police. We would have to like kind of check people's attitudes on this. This type of thing. I'm not used to making the swap to no police. It's not one I'm used to at all. But you know, if we can bring the rural folk up, that will help out a lot. And we might even just add a smattering of farms here in you know, England, so that we can try and bring their clout up at least a little bit. So I have a feeling we're going to need migration controls anyways for the fascist event chain, given that it is necessary for like the ethno-state type 1 anyways. And so we're going to go migration controls, which will make our industrialists sad, which is unfortunate, but it'll make our petite bourgeoisie very, very, very happy. We are also going to reform the government, I think, here into something that is a little bit more legitimate. We know that these guys are in support of this, and with this coming on up, look, we went from, I think we were at negative authority, now we're at 700 authority. Incredible. So we're going to bolster these guys because we don't want them to dip below 18% clout because we lose the doubled bonus. And also, you know, we went from paying, or we're about to go from 45k interest. Check this out. When we unpause, I said when we unpause, this interest is going to drop to 0. We're going to be paying 0 in interest payments as long as the British fascists stay powerful. And so this is absolutely obscene that this is 15% instead of, you know, 10%, and when you double it, it's 30% instead of 20. It is increasing marginal returns, having more loan interest rate in terms of decreasing your interest, and so we're not paying any interest on any of this tax, and so that's spectacular. Now we can also suppress, you know, a few groups, and so I think that we have to think about who is getting split between rural folk and other groups. We see that is supported by peasants, laborers, and farmers, or that's where most of their clout comes from. Laborers also are in the trade unionists, but we don't really want to suppress the trade unionists here. I suppose we could suppress the armed forces because they're getting a lot of clout from laborers as well in order to try and bring up the other guys, as well as maybe keep the petite bourgeoisie powerful. You do see we have 4 groups basically powerful right now. The Intelligentsia is not quite there, but they'll be there well, we'll get them there. But this is one of the powers of going, you know, leaning into the petite bourgeoisie really heavily, is getting all this authority, or at least this petite bourgeoisie, is we can get all this authority and try and get doubled bonuses on up to 4 interest groups, you know, and we're starting to see it come into play a little bit here. And we'll also add another consumption tax, which will be nice. Let's stop taxing the liquor. That tends to hit the lower rung pops a little bit more, and it's not even making the most money. Ooh, yikes, we don't want to be on that. And so now we have a fairly legitimate government. I think we might, because our expenses came down a whole lot because we're not paying the interest and we added, you know, a couple consumption taxes, I think we're going to do this, which puts us in a lower bracket, but, well, it should have raised us to 90 legitimacy. It could have raised us to 90 legitimacy. This was the goal. I mean, we could just eat like another little bit here. We don't care about the interest rate, right? We don't care about accumulating additional debt because it's 0 in interest. And so this is quite fine for us to try and get into the legitimate bracket, and we'll get much faster law pass on enacting migration controls here. Wow, that's a nice pie you got there, France. It'd be a shame if someone were to finger it. So we're going to stick our finger in their pie, and as a result, we were moving up most of our army to New Africa. We're going to move a lot of them back because we are going to be trying to land Brittany. Now, they are almost certainly going to enforce on Mosque. We're not actually trying to really stop any of that. They're going to get Mosque, but what we will get is the pride and satisfaction of putting our finger in their pie. Oh, it's going to be glorious. And of course, this is what the UK does to you when you try and like put down a native uprising. They're like, hey, let's liberate Brittany. This is a reasonable thing. Now we actually do have the perfectly balanced interest groups, you know, in that we have powerful intelligentsia, powerful industrialists, powerful PB, powerful trade unions. The only problem is they're not all happy with us, and a big reason, or like a big one that's pretty useful for doing this, is guaranteed liberties, which we can't even get in because we have censorship. And so, you know, we're quite a ways away from like really perfecting the strategy. I do think you have to go guaranteed libs, which is what we said several episodes ago, but it is nice how you can just like balance the clout like this, and you can be like, oh well, we're, you know, getting 50% migration attraction, you know, we're not getting the IPT here, we're not getting the workforce ratio here, but we are getting the doubled manufacturers industries throughput, which is pretty meaningful, and we're also getting the armed forces bonus here. And so, you know, this feels pretty nice. The rural folk would be giving us bonuses if they're demarginalized, and we're trying to get them there, both by bolstering them and also depressing the armed forces. We're hoping that some, you know, of these guys flee to the rural folk, but having a little bit of trouble. Once you get on a voting system, it can be a little bit tough because to get people in power once they become marginalized, because they don't have any votes unless they're, or this is my understanding, they don't get votes unless they're in, so usually they often will stay marginalized once they get down there. But we're going to try and give them a leg up. I don't know if they hotfixed this, but this is the first naval battle I've seen in 1.5. Because currently they haven't been in naval battles, so I guess I have to look and make sure that they didn't like hotfix it like midway through like this run. I mean, obviously our 100 stack navy is going to crush whatever they got coming in, and it's not going to matter as far as, you know, us trying to land here goes, but also they have a big enough army defending that I don't think we can get in on them this way, at least not without more help. And so we might leave that landing for when this 30 stack is done dusting up New Africa. Then we can bring over the 30 stack and land with the 30 stack and the 65 stack at the same time. And if this doesn't work, maybe we just end up white piecing them, which is not a problem for us. So, you know, easy peasy. We just thumbed a pie and then ran away and went hee and took our ball one home and asked for, you know, a white piece. So again, we are seeing the bug where if you have occupied territory, you can't like reland it. And so we see here we can't get in. We've tried multiple times, and we're probably going to get unforced on here. They're going to humiliate us. It's going to be humiliating. And you can't, if someone's taking your territory, you can't get in on them if you try landing. We've tried multiple times and just thinking that it's going to get in. So we're going to try landing their territory with the idea of pushing, you know, into our territory. We need to liberate all of this somehow, except for this is impossible to liberate. The British Windward Coast, which we've also tried landing. It's impossible for us to liberate this, and as long as they control some of our territory, any of it, I thought humiliation required, you know, control of the capital, but it doesn't, and so we're probably going to end up having to give up, you know, at least some of this. We're going to try and just give up the humiliation and not have to give up the war reps, which will require us maybe trying to land Brittany, and so I think we'll try and get into you know, the right space for being able to do that, actually. After this landing, oh, this landing's not going to fail because we did it smartly. Damn. We actually wanted this landing to fail here because now our big army is going to be stuck in there for a while. Shoot. That's not ideal. Oh well. If we have to give up both, we have to give up both. It's not too big a deal. But yeah, 1.5 things here, where you can't reland territory that's been taken from you, apparently. We are about to also lose this rebellion that we let get out of hand as well, for the very same reason, in that we can't reland this now that they've pushed us out, because we are a little bit occupied with our New Africa War and this war, so we're going to lose Orania as a subject, which is a bit unfortunate, but we're just going to capitulate so we avoid some devastation here, and now they are no longer our subject. They are the proletarian revolt. We do have 2 naval landings coming in here with the idea against Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, the undead warlord himself. It was clearly a mistake to try and fight the undead warlord. But we are hoping that if we occupy Brittany, maybe we'll be able to get off with just having to give up a humiliation. We don't really want to load. It's not a big deal for us to pay war reps for an extended period of time, but if we can, occupy enough or any snippet of Brittany, I think we will be able to, try and get a much better peace. But it looks like we're just going to be just a hair too slow. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just a hair too slow on that occupation. So we're going to be paying out war reps for quite some time, and these are going to be really expensive. Fortunately, next time there's a single play against France, we can just join it and void the war reps. So this is not too big a deal. And they might put something in on us again, but we will try and be a little bit more careful about, these colonial territories and you just being able to be enforced on for humiliate and war reps on this basis if they just move some troops here. It will require us probably creating a lot more armies and shuffling them around and this type of thing, because the AI is very willing to have a ton of armies and shuffle them around, but 1.5 things. So I think we incorporated a little too much and kind of nuked the petite bourgeoisie bonus and for example, the Canadian territory, we incorporated all of it, or we are incorporating all of it. Oh man, that means it hasn't even hit us yet. It's a little bit hard to keep their clout up. Maybe we should have gone mercantilism. I mean, I suppose we still can. The industrialists are really powerful. This is part of the problem, and there's we can't exactly... because we're on a monarchy, if we were on a parliamentary republic, this would be much, much easier, but we want to keep Queen Victoria because it's funnier this way. But it would be much easier on a parliamentary republic because then we could, swap out the Pelite party and then suppress them, and then the rest of their clout would get squeezed into all these other interest groups and make maintaining this tripedal balance, or not tripedal, maintaining this balance quite a bit easier. But yeah, we just passed getting onto private health insurance off of charity hospitals, which means we can increase the rank of the institution, which we're going to go ahead and do. But also, it's going to kind of pull out the slack of the last vestiges of the Anglican Church clout. The rural folk, we still haven't managed to get them up yet. They're kind of stalled out at 3%. We need to, I'm thinking, incorporate some territory and build some farms on it. And I'm thinking the East India Company might be best, but we don't really necessarily want to do that. And we want to do the Raj event so we don't have to pay 25 infamy. But that will require us getting malaria prevention, and I mean, I don't think we're getting that anytime soon, so maybe we let the infamy decay down a little bit, and then we tell the Raj, that they need to come around and reduce their autonomy there, which will cost us 28 infamy, which we could save for free if we just do it, through the journal entry, which requires that we have proclaim the British Raj, which requires that we have colonial affairs up to level 5. We have it at level 4. We can't get level 5 without malaria prevention. We're also, annexing Australia here. They have a lot of resources that should help out with these interest payments to the French. Unfortunately, we're already at max taxes. I guess we can pull a little bit of this, but it is going to be a little bit difficult to build into growing into this level of debt. We've kind of stalled it out, but we are pretty close to defaulting. We might have to delete some construction sectors. We're hoping that this avoids us from such a humiliation of deleting construction sectors. Actually, we deleted a couple, but deleting more. Alright, so we pipped psychoanalysis, and now we have a little bit of a problem. See, we have to research analytic philosophy in order to get Freud, right? But this is going to take 13 years. And I believe the mean age of death is 70, so we're going to be cutting it close with Marx. I mean, Marx can drop dead next year as well, but it's going to be... We're going to be maybe rolling the dice a little bit if we can even get Marx and Freud in around at the same time in a single-party state together. All of this actually might be incredibly difficult because... Marx is probably going to die, or there's a decent chance that Marx dies before we finish this. Also, us researching kind of a nothing burger of a tech for 13 years, another 13 years after doing political agitation is going to feel real bad. Now, we're not going to be very far behind in any tech at any point in time because of our natural spread that we're kind of leveraging, but we're paying a whole bunch for unis that really are being used tremendously. They're not being used on the right things. I'm not saying that, doing a bunch of coke and, talking about dreams and, having, Oedipal relations with your mother is a frivolous use of university resources. But I am saying that. Yeah. So this is kind of what we're doing, although that's not actually analytical philosophy, and I don't know why Freud is not unlocked by psychoanalysis and instead unlocked by analytical philosophy. I mean, I guess we'll get at least the analytical philosophy department for the universities. I mean, it's a non-zero thing, I suppose, but this is a bit of a it's like we're doing a run with zero tech. I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This one has been a feels bad episode because we got humiliated by France for trying to stick our finger in their pie, which is, perhaps a just thing. But we also annexed both Canada and Australia, and so we have quite a bit more territory. I don't know if we'll incorporate Australia, mainly because we are a little bit concerned about keeping the cloud of the petite bourgeoisie up. It would be a lot easier if we invited another agitator that's petite bourgeoisie, but we want to keep this slot open for now, I think, unless we can get someone who... We want to keep it open in case we spot a fascist, really, because getting a fascist is going to be quite hard to do, and we don't want to start rolling for the fascist until we get the rural folk in and we go on to no police, and so... maybe if we go militarized police force, people will support the no police, and so we can do this one step forward, one step back thing, but in order to do this, we need mass surveillance. And considering our, research strategy, we are not going to be getting mass surveillance anytime soon. Mass surveillance is down here as well, so, very, very late when we get militarized police, and so... we could maybe try going to local police force, except local police force is just as hard. It actually is going to be harder to get than no police, and so it really is just swapping to no police, which requires this rural folk to be demarginalized. So maybe next episode, we go after the EIC, maybe you know me, especially, considering we are kind of aware that we're not going to be able to proclaim the British Raj anytime soon. So, and it doesn't appear that the 20-year journal entry pops either, or whatever, that makes them the Raj if you are playing as the UK. We can also get Our Nation, Our Culture, National Myths. This is because we have an ethno guy in the government? Or why is this exactly? I thought we had to put an ethno guy in government in order to proc this journal entry, but I guess not. But let's pin this. So if we do go ethno-state, then this will work. I think there's about a 0% chance we can go ethno-state without causing a huge rev until this industrialist guy dies. So we could invite a guy who's an industrialist and, throw him in government. This is maybe something we'll consider doing for next episode. We could invite this positivist and then throw him in government. The problem is he also supports presidential republic, but does he support... He doesn't care if we go ethno-state, and so we have a lot of agitators who care, though. One is a bit of a problem here. Let's show where's our agitators. There we go. We have a radical agitator, a reformer agitator. These guys care about ethno-state. They oppose ethno-state. This guy, if I'm not mistaken, opposes ethno-state. The radical doesn't oppose ethno-state? Real? Is that the case? Okay, well, fair enough. And then these guys in general will oppose it. The trade unions just off their own will oppose ethno-state, and so is going to be a little bit of a problem for us to try and get onto it. Maybe it's just really the reformer guy, though. How old is this gentleman? We kind of wish he was dead, but he's not. He's unlikely to die anytime soon. Maybe we do the positivist next episode, get rid of him, and then go ethno-state. And they would just radicalize the Intelligentsia, and then we would virtually be guaranteed getting these guys powerful at that point. But then we would start to have very significant discrimination problems, and we'd virtually shut off migration. Not that we're like getting an enormous amount of migration right now anyways, but having it like completely turned off is really kind of not what we're... It really shouldn't work like that, but that's the way it works. Anyways, this episode we got humiliated and we annexed Canada. Oh, I guess we haven't annexed Australia yet. Let's finish annexing Australia, and then we'll conclude the episode. All right, so we got another little funny thing that we can do before the end of the episode, which is we can bring Hesse-Kassel into our customs union, and they will accept. And so this will give us access, and then simultaneously deny Prussia access. It'll give us access to Bavaria, and it will deny Prussia access to all of this over here. So. Sad for them. I don't know why. I guess that's just a little bugged out. Yeah, Prussia's gotten some problems, though, and now we've just added to them. Also, you know, we do have this subject here in Bavaria, so that's going to be pretty nice that we will have them now actually in the customs union. We are about to enforce on these guys here, you know, annex Australia. They will actually accept, and so we will annex Australia. You know, the Franco Revolution isn't real. It can't hurt you. We'll just focus here that we have taken Australia, and then we, of course, cannot let them leave Tasmania. And so this will give us a lot of gold and resources. Not a lot of pops, but that's kind of okay because we're, you know, discriminatory anyways. So we decided we didn't want to exile these guys, you know, to work in the penal colonies anymore. We wanted them back, and so this is what we've done. Ton of gold mine potential, so that'll really help out with the fact that we're paying 100k to France in war reps. So France is probably going to pop off a little. I've been low-key looking for a war with them to reset it, but like it's really, really frustrating that you can't re-land stuff that they've taken from you in this current iteration of the patch. That it's just impossible. So hopefully that's fixed, obviously. But for us for now, also colonization's been unbearably slow. We have like maxed out institutions and we have a ton of incorporated pops. I don't know if it's bugged. Or if it's been bugged like some of the times we load in and other times it's not been bugged. It's like hard to tell, but like I feel like we should have a lot more colonization done by now, and we haven't really gotten much done. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, etc. Have a good one.